Is God playing with me right now? What the F?
So twin flames, by definition, are two individuals holding the masculine and feminine polarity of God. Two individuals who hold the identical electronic blueprint in life. It is then the matrix of each one's own I am presence, each one's individual Christ self. Each one is a full and whole and complete person and intended again to become the androgynous whole, but forevermore in service.
Hello, LGBTQ plus DL men, women who secretly love us and support us. And if you don't identify with any of those labels, you're still free to subscribe to the channel. So, by the thumbnail and by the title of this video, you were probably already in the knowing of what this video is about. And so, I would like to start off and say that many beings that are on this twin flame journey, they are called to it. It is something that calls out to them. It is something that finds the twins. It isn't something that beings search for. Maybe there are some twins that actually search for their twin flame and realize that that it's just their journey. But majority of the twins that I have become aware of, and even the twins that I have somewhat coached, have become aware of the experience finding them, like the twin flame finding them. And so when I saw that this series was on Amazon Prime, it was kind of like, oh, here Spirit goes again, bringing this information to me to once again confirm that I'm on this journey. And a lot of twins that are also on this journey also have this like feeling in separation of, I wouldn't call it giving up. I would call it like really focusing on their self. And when you focus on yourself, you realize that that there are more signs and more synchronicities that remind you that you're on the path. Now, when I watched the series, because Spirit was like, hold on, but sometimes they they show me things when I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to worry about twin flame stuff right now. But then things surrounding the journey will arise. But anyway, let's get into the series and some things that I have become aware of after watching the series. Now, if you haven't watched the series, I wouldn't want to spoil anything about the show for you. So you should watch the series and then probably come back. But what I can say, and this is, I'm going to start about like the ending of the series. I think it was the third show, where I noticed that Shalila is named by birth, by her parents, is named Megan, right? And her twin, the masculine, that I'm assuming that he is masculine because he is in a masculine vessel, and he is kind of like leading, and you will notice that Shalila is somewhat even the Vanity Fair writer was speaking that Shalila seems to be the more spiritual experience of the journey, right? And so what I can say about the series, and a lot of times, there's more context than what the short series is showing. But what I can say from watching it is that there was this mentioning about the the divine masculine and feminine that were in two female vessels. And I can't remember their name off the top of my head, right? But what I can remember is that one of the masculine, her name was Anne. And the coach from the Twin Flame universe told Anne that she should change her name to Dan. And I think that he was being comedic about it to see if she would, like what most people say, is see if she would fold under pressure and actually say what she would do, and or say what he was wanting her to do. Now, what I do want to say is that most of the time when we have learned the lessons that we are meant to learn, and we are then on our we are in union with that person, I'm not going to say there isn't a need to be attached to prior coaches and what they are teaching, but we are meant to have our own way of being within our union. We are meant to teach within our own union. So there would be no need for those old those coaches that have already coached us. They've already done the job, and it's time for us to move forward, right? And so I think that sometimes when we are attached to certain comfort groups and things like that, then certain things that happen, like with the masculine telling Anne to change herself to Dan, it's arising for the reason that it is meant to push her into, or push them as a union into doing their own work for the other twins that haven't awakened to the journey. Yeah. So what I also noticed too, and I said this in a previous TikTok video, that I said that it was cringe. It was cringe when there were starting to be these ideations. I'm not even sure. Ideations about the energy of the being matching the vessel. And I think that when there is a being that is speaking from a certain experience of, like, say, heterosexual experience, trying to dictate or specify what is right for a being that is in a homosexual experience, it is difficult to navigate when you don't have the full, clear experience of what a being is actually experiencing. I also want to say that many twin flames that are on this journey, especially the feminine, have this intuitive knowledge or intuitive cord, not even intuitive cord, but this divine knowledge that is coming from source consciousness. And it's not about being seen as the Messiah, but it is the knowing that, because twins are the direct line of unconditional love, right? And what I do want to say is that what I noticed in Shalila, and I forget the masculine's name, but her masculine, is that, you know, he's projecting some of the things that maybe she hasn't healed, or maybe he hasn't accepted about her. Like, because he may know that internally it has her feeling uneasy about, even because her dad said, I didn't name her Shalila, I named her, what did he call her? And I just said the name earlier. Was it Amber? Anyway, it was, Shalila isn't her birth given name, right? And so with the masculine then telling Anne to change her name to Dan, I think that it is somewhat a reflection of Shalila's past, but it's being projected through her masculine. And although Shalila may have, healed that experience within herself, her masculine hasn't allowed that experience to be accepted, because he knows that feeling, because twins do have that connection where they feel everything from each other. So yeah, I also want to say that there were a lot of things that I'm sure made a lot of the former members very uneasy. And something about the divine feminine energy is that the feminine is a more mothering and nurturing energy, or it is something on the path that we learn how to become more mothering and more nurturing during the separation part of the journey. And I'm not sure if they actually had that, because every twin flame experience can be different from twin to twin. And there are some twins that specifically are meant to teach certain twins. I also think that there were many tactics that came from a lack mindset, or a, what would you call it, like a more money hungry mindset. And I said in a previous video just recently, even before watching the video, about people that do things from like a passionate place versus trying to achieve abundance through what they are doing, because you have to have a passion for what you're doing for it to actually be receptive. Or maybe not, maybe that is just my understanding. I even think that there were some former members who sort of experienced like just this, like it was a traumatic experience for them, experiencing those coaches. And that's what made it very cringe, because when they are doing it from a money hungry type of space, right? Because even after union, there is still work that is being done. And it seems that with Shalila, she may have done her healing, but it seems that because the masculine is learning after the feminine, there are some things that were being said from his you know from his point of view that showed that there were some things that still need to be healed within the journey. I may have mentioned this in a previous video or in this video earlier, that one of the first things that I became aware of is that you don't tell a person that this is or isn't their twin flame, because the journey is actually, it is great for them to understand and learn that they are actually experiencing this connection with this other being that is a reflection of them, because if you're telling them like, oh yes, that is your twin flame, then it's kind of like taking away from them actually being able to experience that is their twin flame. And that's what I mean about acting from a money hungry mindset. And while it is very important to allow this abundance through the experience of coaching, so that you can show other twin flames that it is possible, to receive the abundance, even if you have to eat those hot dogs like they were eating three times a day that they were eating. I'm grateful that I haven't had to do that, but it's the knowing that this other being is so important, and you are so attracted to them, and the want for them is so strong that you wouldn't be able to. It's like you would eat hot dogs 3 times a day with them. I even thought about having a what do they call it? You know how a divine feminine support group. They like you know how they have AA meetings and then they have like a group of people and they speak about the things that are going on. And I know that there are twin flame coaches who have like groups within their coaching classes, right? But I think a support group would be great to talk about those deep conversations that people don't really understand about the connection, like being able to speak about the prison experiences for wanting to be with them, or their masculine denying them, or being seen as like or just being misunderstood as a being, and having family members think that you're crazy or whatever, because the connection is a divine connection. And I was saying earlier that it's not always meant for these beings who are on the path to be a part of the experience, because they're not going to understand, because it is your soul's journey. It is soul work. It is not the vessel. It is not just just get over them. It's not something that you can get over, because spirit is just going to remind you that they are your twin, that it is your journey. And there aren't many people who understand the journey besides people that are on the journey. I wanted to add this because it's very important about abundance. And Shalila's masculine was speaking from a business perspective through most of it. And he made them very wealthy. This is a part of the reason why I have been hesitant about posting content with my twin, for the reason that I wouldn't want to build a relationship with him based off of the abundance that would be made because of the journey. Because right now we are in the twin flame separation. There's union with self. I know spirit. I received the gift of spirit. So there is union with self. But, do I know that if we were together in the union that it would make tons of money? Yes. Do I have enough knowledge within myself to achieve the abundance? Yes. It would just make it a lot easier with them, so that when people click on the website, it will be great for people to be able to click on the website and see Kevin with his divine masculine and make a lot of money. But when you haven't learned your shit, and when I say that, learned and owned up to your shit and got through those difficult parts, and allowing or understanding what a person needs specifically for their journey. Like, I don't think that Shalila and her husband were meaning it in a negative way about how they were. Their teaching style was just very it was just like, it seemed like those type of interactions where the student is coming back to them with the same type of experience and with the same questions, and they're saying, okay, you're doing the same thing, are you listening? And so that's when they start saying these things like, Well, maybe you should change this about yourself, or maybe you should change that about yourself. At the same time, there has to be this understanding of where beings are consciously and what they're allowing themselves to, you know, what they're receiving and how it's being received, you know? And I think that it is great that, you know, they have this business that is really thriving and gaining the attraction and money through their service and things like that. But after a while, I think that it became more of a pyramid scheme type of experience rather than the passion for it. And the reason that I say that is because when a student has received enough information at some point, I would want my student to learn what they need to learn and then move on. Start your own path to enlightening other twins on this journey. Like, it's just like school, right? When you have gone through what is it, kindergarten, or what they call it, pre-K, to graduating high school and college, what do? You start allowing yourself to work in the field that you're meant to work in. And as a twin flame, you know, it's also a part of being in the experience and doing the work, the soul work, to understand the journey. Because if you're just going to the teachers and they're telling you, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, and then it's I'm not going to say it's not working because you're listening to them, but it's your soul and you're allowing the teacher to make the decisions for what's best for you. They can guide you to what's best for you, but it's up to you to make the decision of what is best for your soul. So after the lessons have been learned, it is time to put them to action to see if, you know, it was actually learned. And this is something else that I want to say about when they were speaking about they guarantee that you will achieve union with your twin flame. And a lot of people have the idea that that means physical union with your twin. But the whole purpose of the journey is to understand the union of the soul, which is in the 5D. So it's nothing to do with, I'm not going to say it's nothing to do with the vessel, because, you know, the physical union of the two twins is very important to the journey, because there are some things that, you know, that are very magical that happens when you feel them and you touch them and you understand, oh, this is the feeling that they talk about when they speak about physical union. But when you think about union in the word separation, if you are one soul, in the 5D, right? Which is the the metaphysical experience that's happening, right? The spiritual experience that's happening. There is no true separation. Yes, they say that the twin flames are one soul split into two bodies, but in the 5D, there's always communication. So this communication is always happening. Clearly, there is no separation because you're always connected in the 5D. They're just thinking of it from a 3D aspect. And that's why they're speaking about these things like mirror work and crystals and Reiki healings and things like that, because it goes far beyond that. It is a connection with your soul and spirit. And spirit is not a different being from your soul. It doesn't see itself as like not itself, which it is your soul, and you are it experiencing itself. I would like to say to Vanity Affair, is it Vanity Fair? I'd like to say to Vanity Fair that there are different journeys of twins. Like, there are different experiences that you will see with twin flames. And a lot of times when beings who are on the journey are invited into the space of twin flames, it can be very misunderstood, even with friends. And I think that every divine feminine or divine masculine or whatever has been in the experience of trying to allow others the experience of what they're going through or experiencing from the twin flame perspective, and it's misunderstood, or there's this feeling of being ghosted by beings that are on the journey. I haven't spoken to some of my friends from high school or people that I considered best friends, or friends and things in that nature. But it's also because this journey is a journey that has called to have my attention on the journey. And, not intentionally, there was this releasing of old friendships that no longer served who I was becoming. And now that I am more aware of the journey and how to allow others to experience me, I've realized that they just aren't on the path, and it's a lot of things that they are unaware of. It's not that they aren't thought about. It's not that they, like even with Brianna, I'm sure that maybe she has met her twin flame, but it's not. We don't get to pick and choose who our twin flame is after we have already been birthed into this experience of the human experience. We chose this path before. It is said that we have chose this path over many lifetimes, correct? So if that is true, then the experience of ancestors will be the energies of who we were in the past. And, a lot of twin flame experiences can seem cult like, like with MG, Megan Fox and MG Kelly, I think his name is. He, they did blood rituals and things like that. And some of those things may seem crazy to, people who aren't aware of binding work and what they call like binding spells, blood being like this. It is something that has been done for like generations and generations in terms of like a union or spell work and things like that, and it can seem cult like. It can seem very witchy and woo woo and all of these things that you could name it, but at the core of it is something very spiritual that beings that are on this path will understand, and beings that aren't on the path would more than likely judge it because they don't understand and they're not having the experience of it. Something that I can share in this video is when I've touched my twin flame and we hugged, and it was a hug, but there was something very magical about it. And when I explained it to others, there was this like, okay, like what? But I knew that it was true. It was true for me. It had to be true for them. And that's a part of the healing journey. You learn that not everybody has to accept what you're experiencing because it's your experience. And I think that that's also a part of it being mainstream. When twin flames speak out that this is my twin flame or whatever, then it becomes like a target on them, because then they're wanting factual information about what they're experiencing, but it's their experience. And when you allow people to understand your experience, it's like you gifting them yourself. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with you allowing people to experience something that you're experiencing, but be aware that not everybody is going to understand your path, and you don't choose your path after you have been born into this human experience. You remember that you chose it before you have been born into this human experience. So I think that it would be a great idea to do a divine feminine support group. I also thought that it would be a great idea to invite my masculine to do a divine masculine support group. But because we are in separation and we haven't had this strong communication that has been happening in the 3D experience, what I can gift is the Divine Feminine support group. So if you're interested, like this video, comment, subscribe, so that we have enough. I think it is 50 subscribers are needed to do live YouTube videos. And so that way, during the live videos, we could do a support group for Divine Feminine and Divine Feminines and speak about some of the things that we have experienced and some of the realizations that we have become aware of. And so if you're up for that, subscribe to the channel and comment that you would enjoy something like that. So until we see each other again, I'm grateful. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.